KMES English Medium Junior College welcome its students for the online lecture of philosophy. For Chapter 4, How Do We Know? For the topic, Introduction to How Do We Know and Indian Epistemology. Students, in today's lecture, we are going to study Chapter 4, How Do We Know? Chapter 4 consists of following subtopics: Introduction, Indian Epistemology, Western Epistemology, and the Scientific Perspective. Introduction. Human beings have been wandering to attain knowledge since the ancient time. Though they have acquired a great amount of knowledge in the last thousands of years, their thirst of knowledge does not seem to be satisfied. Actually, all living beings have the capacity to gain some kind of knowledge or other. It is essential for their living. But the knowledge that different species acquire does not grow with time, nor does it appear to be changing in a qualitative manner. However, the depth extension of human knowledge keeps on growing in the course of time. The process of adding to the already acquainted knowledge happens continuously. We have been observing that it is the awareness of awareness that distinguishes humans from all other living beings. Due to this two-layered awareness, man does not merely have knowledge like other living beings, but also is aware of having knowledge. That is why the concept of knowledge itself can become an object of the knowledge for him. So, the concept of knowledge is the object of knowledge for human beings. We experience that pets such as dog and cat have an intensive as well as experience-based knowledge of where to find a stray or which place is dangerous for them. But do they ever face questions such as, how do I know this knowledge? What do I need to do in order to make this knowledge more? This does not seem to be in the case of cat and dog. But human beings, however, have been raising these and many such questions from last hundreds of years. The branch of philosophy called epistemology studies many such questions critically in detail. What is knowledge? What is the difference between knowledge on one hand and the other related concepts such as opinion, conviction, belief, information on the other? What are the sources or means of knowledge? How can knowledge be justified? What is true? In this lesson, we will get acquainted with the way in which many such questions has been considered in both Indian and Western philosophy. Indian epistemology. We do not use the word knowledge in a clear and detailed way in our daily life. We use the term to refer to our opinion, firm and strong and belief also. We use that word even to denote whatever has been introduced to us, whatever we are used with or whatever we think to understand. From the way of saying, that is perspectives of philosophy, the usage of the word is not always appropriate, because there is a difference between thinking what we have knowledge and actually having knowledge. What we think we understand need not be true. If it is not true, it will not be correct to call it knowledge. Philosophy is interested in the knowledge that qualifies the test of truth. It is the means and the type of such knowledge that philosophy wants to study. Prama. Prama is a word that is used in Indian philosophy for this kind of knowledge that qualifies the test of truth. The word Gyan, knowledge, is used for whatever we comprehend or understand. We come to know the world by way of using many means such as sense perception, reason, memory, testimony, etc. But the world always is not exactly the way we feel, see or understand it. We have learned that what we seem to be the case may not actually be the case. That is, appearances are deceptive. But in the Indian tradition, even if it has not been explained whether whatever has been understood is true or false, it is still called as Gyan, knowledge. If it is true, is established as surety, it is called Brahma. To have Brahma is to know the object as it is without any error. The person who attains Brahma is called Paramatma. The mean through which the knowledge is gained is called Pramana. Pramya is the object that is known. So we have come across the concept Prama. It is the true knowledge. Then Paramatma is the person who attains this knowledge. Then Pramana, that is the mean through which knowledge is gained. And Pramya, that is the object that is known. On the basis of the initial discussion regarding the difference between the human being and non-human being, it can be said that all the living beings other than human also have knowledge in the sense of Gyan, but they perceive through senses. But only human being can assess whether the knowledge gained is correct or incorrect, that is true or false. That means only human being can attain Brahma. All the living beings can be called knower, Vyata. But only human being can be called as Paramatma. Human can acquire Brahma on the basis of their organic, intellectual and linguistic ability by the way of using various means or pramanas such as sense perception, inference, testimony, etc. Pramana. The consideration of pramanas is at the center of the epistemology in Indian tradition. The objective of attaining Brahma cannot be achieved unless appropriate means of knowledge are used. That is why in the Indian tradition one finds an in-depth analysis of questions such as what are the means through which Brahma can be attained, what is the nature of such means, what is the numbers of such means, etc. The concept of pramana is much deeper than it appears. Prama is a mean to attain Brahma, is one of the meaning of the term Brahma. In addition, there are at least two more meanings that the term has. According to one of these meanings, Pramana is a kind or type of Brahma. This sense of the concept of Pramana is accepted by the Buddha and Jain Darshana. According to them, we cannot differentiate between the means of knowledge and their product in the process of knowledge acquired. Instead, if we classify the knowledge that we gain on the basis of difference in the nature of instant of knowledge, we would more clearly understand what knowledge is. The type of knowledge of Brahma that we get through such classification are called Brahmanas. The Jain and Buddha Darshana tend to believe that the Pramana accepted by the Indian tradition such as perception, inference, testimony are not only means of Brahma but also type of Brahma. The third sense of the term Pramana is evidence of proof, justification or the assurance of authenticity of knowledge. Even in our ordinary conversation in Marathi, when we ask question, what is the pramana form for your argument, we are trying to understand what is the evidence. We want to know whether it is true or false. This basic meaning of the term pramana is connected to both the meanings stated above. When we say that pramana is an instrument of Brahma, it means a reliable or an authentic instrument with the help of which Brahma can be attained. When we say that Brahma is a type of pramana, it means it is a type of reliable and authentic knowledge. Nyaya Darshana's view of Pramana. Nyaya Darshana has a very important place in India. Understanding of Pramanas. The concepts such as Gyan, Prama, Aprama, Pramana, etc. were very systematically put forward initially by the Nyaya philosopher. Let us understand the Nyaya's philosopher view about Pramana. According to Nyaya's view, knowledge illuminates the object of knowledge in the manner in which a lamp illuminates objects in the world. At a gross level, knowledge is divided into two types, experience or presentative cognition, anubhav, and memory or representative cognition, smriti. We have a direct awareness or understanding of the object in experience, while understanding through memory is in the form of remembering the experience. Both these types of knowledge are further classified into yatharth, true and valid, and ayatharth, enormous knowledge, which is presentative and valid, is called Brahma. Non-valid representative knowledge is called Aprama. Nyaya Darshana found that Brahma is gained through four means, namely perception, pratyaksha, inference, anumana, comparison, upmana, and testimony. Let us learn about these four pramanas now in detail. Perception, pratyaksha. Pratyaksha or perception refer to the sensation that we receive through our sense organs. We receive the sensation of color, sound, taste, smell and touch respectively through the five sense organs, namely eyes, ear, nose, tongue and skin. We also perceive the sensation of pleasure and pain through the mind. This is called perception. Of all the pramanas, this is the primarily important pramana, which is accepted by all darshanas. As per one of the definitions that Nyaya Darshana offer, pratyaksha jnana is a determinate, non-enormous and true knowledge attained through the contact between sense organ and the object. Nyaya Darshana believe that the soul is the knower who gets knowledge through the change consisting of the object, the sense organ, the mind. We get the sensation of perceptible objects and their characteristics like color, appearance, texture, taste, smell, etc. through specific sense organ. It is necessary to be attentive to or be aware of the object that we want to know directly. There can be no knowledge in our mind does not pay attention to the object. For example, when we study with full concentration, though we hear certain sounds that fall on our ear, we cannot understand them because we are not paying attention to them. That is, a contact between the ear and the sound takes place, but our mind is elsewhere. It is not connected with the ear in the real sense. Thus, it is the function of the mind to pay attention to the specific object of knowledge. Knowledge through sense experience is a matter of common experience for us. Nyaya Darshana has systematically classified pratyaksha pranama in its in-depth exposition of the same. The main classification of perception is made on two types, namely ordinary, laukika, and extraordinary, alaukika. Ordinary perception consists of all the knowledge of objects that we attain through five sense organs and the mind. The knowledge of the objects that do not fall within the range of experience of the sense organs is gained by the way of extraordinary means. That is why it is called extraordinary perception. Ordinary perception is further classified into external and inner or mental perception. External perception is the perception through eyes, nose, ears, skin and touch. While the knowledge attained by the mind is inner perception. The mind, according to Nyaya, is an internal organ. We get the knowledge of pleasure, pain, attachment, etc. through this inner organ. Extraordinary perception is divided into Samanya Lakshana, Pratyakshati, Jnana Lakshana, Patyashati, and Yoga Jaga Lakshana, Patyashati. An attribute that is commonly present in many objects of the same time is called a commonality or a universal, Samanya. Nyaya Darshana believe that when we experience a flower, we do not merely know that particular flower, but also the universal flowerness. Through this universal, we acquire a universal knowledge of flower in the form, I know what the flower is. Nyaya Darshana believe that this knowledge is attained through Samanya Lakshana. Similarly, when we see the half-ripened turmeric, we know that it would taste sweet or sour without actually tasting it. We of course cannot come to know that the taste of anything using our eye. Yet we have such knowledge due to Jnana Lakshana. In a like manner, it is believed that a yogi has the knowledge of the past, the present and the future. Obviously, it is not possible to have this knowledge by a way of sense experience. It is said that the yogi has this knowledge through Yoga Lakshana, Patyakshati. Inference, Anumana. Though it is true that a large part of knowledge consists of knowledge gained through sense perception, it is equally true that all our knowledge is not acquired through it. That is why there is a need of other means of knowledge too. One of the important means among these is logical reasoning. By using logical reasoning in our day-to-day life as well as in science, we attain knowledge of the thing that cannot be experienced by the sense organ. In a closed auditorium, when a door is opened a little, we smell the fragrance of the soil and tell the person sitting next to us that it has started raining without actually seeing the rain. When we observe that the particles of iron are being attracted by an object, we conclude that there is a magnetic power in that object. Inference or anumana is the logical judgment about that which cannot be directly experienced on the basis of that which can be directly experienced. The term anumana literally means knowledge that follows some other knowledge. What we experience is a mark or indication of what we do not experience. The pug mark that we find on the trail in the forest indicate which animal have earlier walked on those paths. The famous example of inference that Nyaya Darshana offers is as follows. When we see smoke on the hill, we infer that there is a fire somewhere on the hill, because smoke is an indication of fire. In short, we can say that inference is the knowledge of the unknown on the basis of known. There are three constituents of the process of inference, namely Paksha, Hetu, Paksha, Hetu, Sadhya. That which we infer or reason about is called as Sadhya. The place or society with reference to which we derive the existence of the Sadhya is called Paksha. That on the basis of which we prove the existence of Sadhya is called Hetu. Hetu is the link that connects the Paksha and the Sadhya. In the example above, the heat is the Paksha, where there is smoke, which is the Hetu. We prove the existence of fire on the basis of the Hetu, smoke. Fire is the Sadhya in this example. Paksha Dharmata. Paksha Dharmata is the existence of the Hetu in Paksha. The relation of being associated with one another that exists between the Hetu and the Sadhya is called Vyapti. We will not be able to inference the existence of Sadhya from the existence of Hetu. If the Hetu is not always associated with Sadhya, smoke is generated through fire. Smoke cannot exist without fire. There is a relation of universal Vyapi between the smoke and the fire. Wherever there is smoke, there is a fire, is the statement indicating the Vyapi relation. If you mindfully consider the process of inference, you will realize that it is a complicated process. It begins with knowing through Payaksha, that is the Hetu on the Paksha. When we remember the relation of Vyapi between the Hetu and the Sadhya that we have experienced or known previously, we infer the existence of Sadhya on the basis of actual experience, Paksha Dharmata, and the memory of the Vyapi, relation between the Hetu and the Sadhya. Nyaya Darshana has a very extensive as well as in-depth understanding of the inference. On one point of that need, we need not note amongst its reflection on the inference is that it views infer both as the source of knowledge as a way of argumentation. When a person himself or herself comes to attain Brahma with the help of inference is called inference of the self. Savartha Numa. Here inference is obviously a source of knowledge. We also use inference as an argument in order to prove our conclusion to the other person. This type of inference is called inference for the sake of other. That is Prayartha Numana. Upamana, comparison. Upamana, pramana, refer to the knowledge gained with the help of resemblance. We use upamana, pramana when we come to know a news, that is previously unknown object on the basis of the way we resemble some other already knowing object. What is important here is not the number of aspects that resemble each other, but whether the existing resemblance is significant or not. Upmiti, that is the knowledge attained through Upmana, is based on comparison. According to Nyaya, understanding Upmana is a comparison between the term or a word and the object that it refers to. Do you remember the description of the giant squirrel? When a person who knows that a giant squirrel is an animal which is like a squirrel but is bigger than squirrel, see the giant squirrel for the first time, that person will know that the animal being perceived is a giant squirrel. What that person will have this knowledge through the coming together of various factors such as description of a giant squirrel by a knowledgeable person. The animal perceived, recollection of that description and the comparison based on all this. It is not possible to have such knowledge merely on the basis of perception or memory. That is why Nyaya Darshana consider Upmanya as an independent Paramana. Shabda, testimony. We constantly use words while speaking and writing. But have you ever thought that what exactly is a word? We all know that the word is made from letters. But is the word merely a group of letters? Is the word the sound that the ear hears when it is pronounced or marked figures that are seen on paper while reading? Of course not. If somebody starts speaking to us in a language not known to us, do we hear the word, but we say that we have not understood a word. You must have seen a portal script of the Chinese language, but you can read it? Really not. This is so because a word is not just a sound or a marked word, that important element of language, which is meaningful. Mere sound or a mark is not a word. Word has meaning. A sentence is generated when many meaningful words come together in a specific manner. A great part of our knowledge consists of knowledge acquired by way of the words that are heard and read. However, it must be remembered that we do not attain Brahma through every sentence that we have heard or read. We have already seen that the Brahma is the true knowledge. Obviously, if the word that presents falsehood to us cannot be called Brahmana, that is means of Brahma. It is for this reason that Nyaya Darshana has pronounced that Shabda is the statement of an apta. The word apta here does not mean a relative as it ordinarily means in Marathi or Hindi, but it means a reliable person. Apta is a person who is knowledgeable and trustworthy. Such person is neither ignorant nor a liar. That is why this person is reliable. One can attain Brahma on the basis of the word of such person. In this era of the tremendous influence of media, especially social media, it is extremely important to remember the definition of the term apta. It is necessary to check whether whatever reaches to us through the media is trustworthy or not. And it is equally necessary to think whether we ourselves are reliable and knowledgeable as users of media. We would learn to use the media responsibly if we keep this point in the mind. Nyaya have also offered some classification of Shabda. The words that give us knowledge of the perceptual object are called Dustata. The words that give us knowledge of that which cannot be seen are called adustata. According to another classification, words are classified into two kinds, namely Vedika and Laukika. According to Nyaya Darshana, the words in the Vedika literature are apurshakya. They are not written by any human being. They are true and infallible. Alaukika words are the words of human beings, and they can be either true or false. That is why all the words cannot be treated as pramanas. Only the words in the Vedas and the Laukika words of Apta are called as pramana. Different darshanas accepted different number of pramanas. There are two more pramanas that Mimamsa Darshana has accepted apart from the four pramanas given by Nyaya Darshana. These two pramanas are postulation and non-perception. Postulation. Sometimes there is an inconsistency between two known things. For example, we may have never seen one of our friends studying during the entire day. We think that she is going to score very low marks in the exam. Actually, she gets a very good mark. There is apparently an inconsistency between not studying and scoring high marks. But this apparent inconsistency can be explained by saying that she must have studied regularly in the night. After knowing this, the inconsistency is removed. The knowledge that we attain by the way of removing the inconsistency between two known things, thus is the way of arthapati as a means of knowledge, that is postulation. Coming to the next pramana, non-perception. All the pramanas seen so far give us the knowledge of the existing thing or about the existence of certain thing. However, the pramanas known as anupallabadi give us the knowledge of the non-existence or the absence of some object. For example, when we go in the college canteen to meet a friend, but after reaching there realize that he is not there. If you would have been there, we would have seen him. But we cannot see his not being or his absence. Yet we know it because of the pramanas known as anupallabadi. The discussion of the pramanas is at the center of Indian epistemology. Considering the fact that pramya can be known through pramanas, it is important to reflect our pramanas even in order to know that the universe consists of. We can see here the interrelation between the epistemology and the metaphysics. We find that there is interdependence between how many and which pramana is a particular darshana accepts and its metaphysical position.